This is going to sound really obvious. You should have your photos be focused. You don't want them to be blurry. And fun fact, this house that I shot, this image came from a house that was like 800 square feet. And I shot the entire basement when I was shooting the iGUIDE with one pano. Just one was all it needed. And so I'm just standing there and I'm thinking, like, should I shoot more? It wasn't finished, so there wasn't really much point, but you know, anyway. So there are some tricks to this. What can really ruin your day is if you're shooting and you accidentally shoot a photo, you're in a hurry, and when you get home, you realize it's out of focus because that photo is trash. You have to toss it. There's no sharpening in the universe that'll take a really badly focused photo and fix it. Even artificial intelligence sharpening, you know, and you're desperate and you pay Topaz Labs like $100 for it and you try it, it doesn't work, and then you feel bad. So basically, make sure your photos are in focus. So I'll tell you the manual way to do it, and then I'll tell you the easy way. So the manual way would be to check every photo by zooming in on like your view screen, you know, every time you shoot it and making sure that you got it. So you could totally do that if you want, but it takes a while. So the easier way to keep yourself out of trouble is to take your camera and put it in what is called focus priority mode. I don't know what it's called on Canon. I think that's the Nikon term, if I recall correctly. And what that means is that the camera won't shoot if you push the shutter button. It just won't do anything. And that's really frustrating when you're trying to shoot something, but it's a good thing, because what that means is when you go to try to shoot, if it's not in focus, you won't accidentally take an out of focus picture and then have that on your, you know, on your SD card and find out later. So what it forces you to do is check and say, oh, I see what's happening here. You know, maybe the room is just like a blank wall and there's nothing for the camera to focus on. You know, I'm not going to go into detail about how focusing works, but you need contrast, right? So what that means is you have to manually adjust the camera, move it around, change the angle if you're using an automatic mode, or change your focus point to select something specifically if you're using a manual mode. And then when you shoot your picture, when it finally gets taken, you're good. You know that it's in focus. That is an absolutely killer feature. In addition to that, oh, I put some extra stuff here. Look at this. Using a tripod. So I didn't say it initially, but leveling your camera doesn't mean holding it in your hands. I probably should have specified that. Sorry. It means putting it on a tripod and leveling it. A lot of people try to shoot off a tripod because it's fast. And I would argue that that's fine, but you could shoot on a tripod just as fast. So I don't really see, like, I mean, you don't have to carry a tripod. I guess that's the benefit. They don't weigh that much, to be honest. It's good. It's a good workout. It's good exercise. Carry a tripod. There's my recommendation. Get a really heavy tripod and think of it like weightlifting, and your photos will be super stable. There's a really good reason, a really interesting reason why you want your camera to be as stable as possible. And that's that if your images are as sharp as they possibly can be, because they're in focus, and your camera is super hyper stable, that means that if you need to crop in later, you can crop way in. So if you really want to create a really tight image that just shows, like, I don't know, for some reason, the bed in a bedroom, you can do that. Whereas if your image is a little soft and you try to crop in, it won't hold up. So it gives you a lot of flexibility later. And it's just a best practice. You should just always be doing it. I put it in here. This is kind of cool. Exposure delay. So it'll be called self-timer on some Canon cameras. For the most part, you want to set your camera up so that when you push a button, nothing happens right away. You wait a couple seconds and then it shoots the photo. And the reason for that is that every time you touch your camera, you'll have a little bit of camera shake. So it'll soften your images a bit if it just shoots right away. So if you just tap the button and you have your self timer on or exposure delay, it'll do nothing. It'll wait a couple seconds and then you'll hear click, click,